Hello, everyone. We'll be starting our Launch Lead Teacher webinar shortly. We're waiting for the system to load in all participants. Welcome everyone who's joining. We're waiting for the system to load in all of our participants. And as they take their seats, we'll pause shortly and we'll begin the Launch Lead Teacher webinar very soon. Welcome everyone to today's Launch Lead Teacher webinar. It looks like the system is slowing down on loading our participants, so I will pass the microphone over to Lori so she can begin.
Thank you, Rob. All right, welcome everyone. We're glad that you're here with us, and if you're watching the recording, we're happy to have you watch the recording as well. We wanted to let you know ahead of time that this 60-minute webinar will include plenty of time to field the questions you have. Please note that while everyone is in listen-only mode, you will have access to the question panel where you can input your questions at any time. You will find the Q&A dialog window on your screen's Zoom panel. We will do our best to answer questions along the way. However, we will reserve time at the end to address all that time allows. As follow-up for your convenience, after the webinar, we'll send you a link to the recording so that you can replay or share with others. And we will also post the webinar recording in community, the Lead Teacher community. All right, so we'll introduce ourselves now. My name is Lori Fields, and I'm a professional development content developer for Project Lead the Way. And I'm joined with my colleague, Emily Schaefer, tonight. So we're happy to have you. All right, we have a poll for you. So using the Zoom poll, please select which answer describes when you were trained as a PLTW Launch Lead Teacher. I'll give you a few minutes to answer. Great. I'm not sure if everyone can see the poll, but we actually have several who were trained in 2018 or 19. We have actually several from every category, so I think it's pretty even across the board here. So thank you. All right. We can move forward with our agenda. So tonight we'll be covering the following that you see on this slide: prerequisite coursework that your teachers would need to complete before attending classroom teacher training, PLTW Launch Pre-K through 5, which is exciting. We'll talk about digital devices and device applications, the Spanish curriculum that's available, updates to kindergarten and 3rd grade curriculum, the updates to the module-specific professional development resources. Then we'll dig into the PLTW Launch Classroom Teacher Training Effective Instruction Guide, or EIG, and talk about those updates. And then we'll talk about concept assignments and the alternative pacing schedule for classroom teacher training. So the exciting additions to PLTW Launch include an updated prerequisite course. So many of you who went through training in the past, when you did prerequisite course work, you completed a course titled PLTW The Experience. This course has been updated and is now titled Welcome to PLTW. So just know in your language when you communicate to your teachers that they need to complete the prerequisite coursework, that one is titled Welcome to PLTW and the other one is titled Getting Started with PLTW Launch Classroom Teacher Training. And there is a quiz at the end of each of those courses. So Welcome to PLTW includes Meet PLTW, Career Connections, Navigating the PLTW PD Systems, PLTW's APB Instructional Approach, Balanced Assessment, and then wrapping up. We also are really excited to announce that PLTW Launch is now pre-K to 5. There's been a lot of buzz and excitement about including pre-K this year, so we're extremely happy that you all have access to the pre-K curriculum very soon this summer, so 2019-20 school year. Life Science, Living and Non-Living Things is one of the modules. Another one is Matter, Floating and Sinking. The Biomed module is Healthy Habits. And then the Computer Science module is titled Spatial Sense and Coding. And you can see our great illustrations of the characters in preschool that we have here in pre-K. And the courses are really exciting and have a lot of added features that we've updated. And we'll take a look at some of those features as we get into some of the updated courses tonight. We also wanted to talk to you about expanding access to PLTW Launch with the operating system updates. So now, this summer, we are actually able to access PLTW Launch on 3 different systems. We have the ability to use iPads and Android tablets, as well as Android-enabled Chromebooks. There's specific language about this in page 6 of the Effective Instruction Guide. As you can see, the top right section says Trainer, and then there are 2 links. We really ask that you use the links provided and direct teachers to access these links through their prerequisite coursework. They have access to them there, or you could send them the link. We ask that you do not email them the PDF document, like download it and then email it to them. We are frequently updating these documents, and just to make sure that they have the most updated resource, using the link is the best practice. Also, we have provided a lead teacher letter in the community. So this provides a little bit more information for you regarding the operating system updates. So we ask that you would read that, and hopefully that will answer any questions that you may have, but if not, you could post them to the community. All right, another exciting addition is that PLTW Launch curriculum is now available in Spanish. So the student courses and teacher guides are available in Spanish for Launch. And as you can see, these are just a few images that we have of the Spanish course. First grade, you can actually get in there right now and take a look at what that looks like for those modules in first grade. The engineering design process wheel we have here in Spanish. So all of the Launch curriculum will be available July 2019. So July 1st, 2019, all of Launch will be available. But we do have a sneak peek for you in first grade at this time currently. So if you wanted to check out what this looks like as a student course and a teacher guide, you could access that first grade curriculum. We want to note that it's really important to stress that teachers roster and enroll their students, because when students are rostered, they receive the username and email or username and password that you could share with the families, and they can access this curriculum at home. It's a great family connection, a great way to engage families and include them in the PLTW Launch experience and what you're doing within the classroom. So we highly encourage that the students are rostered just for this reason. All right. Okay, so now we have updates to the kindergarten and third grade curriculum, which include actually what we have here for the 2019-20 school year. There have been updates in kindergarten and third grade, but what we want to point out here are just the ones that we'll be using in classroom teacher training. So we do use structure and function human body. So we've given you a look of one of the new stories, introduction stories, what that would look like in the student course, and also stability and motion, forces and interactions. And we chose those just because we use those in classroom teacher training. But there are a lot of new features that we'll go through and show you in just a little bit. All right. So now we have professional development updates, and we have been working really hard to actually update these resources for you, kind of doing away with a 5-part video series and archiving those, and they're still there. We are just updating it to match your needs. So we've really categorized the PD assets in 3 categories. The first would be a module introduction. So we're working on updating these for all launch or grade levels, but the module introduction is really a high-level video that teachers can watch and gives them an overview of the scaffolding, the student learning that's occurring within the module, what the problem is, and the APB instructional approach. So that's just a really high-level overview video, and it's not very long, about 3 to 4 minutes in length, but just kind of tells you the story of the module. The second category we titled Building Your Understanding. So we know that elementary teachers, sometimes we're not really familiar with the science content that we're teaching in the module, and we need a little bit more background, or we'd like to build our background knowledge and build our understanding at a deeper level than the students are expected to learn, just in case students ask us those deeper questions, and to feel prepared to teach the module. So we've created this series. They may be informational texts, infographics, or videos that provide you a deeper understanding to the science content. And finally, the demonstrations. So whenever we have a setup or something that you will be setting up for the students, perhaps it's centers, it might be something in the kit, it might be centers that the students rotate through, explaining those and showing what those look like. We've tried to do our best to really show you what that looks like in real time and how to set those things up that might be a little bit more difficult to read through. So those are video demonstrations for you. And again, we're updating these, and we'll show you a little bit more later. All right. Classroom teacher training. So now we're ready to get into classroom teacher training and talk about the effective instruction guide. We wanted to tell you that we really chose to use screenshots here because we hope that you've all actually accessed the EIG, but so we weren't scrolling through the entire thing trying to find the pages we really wanted to talk about. We've put screenshots on here and the page numbers that relate to that. So if you have the EIG open, we really welcome you to walk along with us and find these sections within the EIG. You'll notice on page 2 that there is a section called How We Solved It Career Panel, and it's noted in parentheses PLTW Training Hubs Only. This section is to be used for trainings that are at PLTW Training Hubs and really included for master teachers who are leading those sections or those trainings. So as a lead teacher leading classroom teacher training in your building or district, you do not have to pay attention to this. You can ignore this section. So we just wanted to call it out to you and let you know that it's okay to glance over it and then disregard it. Right. Another interesting and fun, exciting thing that we have for classroom teacher training, the introduction activity. Although we loved Poplet, we have a new app that we're using in classroom teacher training, which is called Show Me Interactive Whiteboard. So the introduction activity where you would introduce yourself and where the participants would create an introduction slide, an introduction presentation, introducing themselves to each other. We're using Show Me Interactive Whiteboard. The components stay the same, so you'll see where's your favorite vacation spot, what do you hope to gain from the training, what is your favorite thing to do in the summer. Those parts are the same, but we're just using a different app for the training this year. All right, I think that's all for now from me, and I'm going to turn it over to Emily, and she can take you through the rest of the EIG.
All right, good evening, everyone. I did want to share, some of you may have noticed that a zip file was added to the Launch Lead Teacher community group last night with the new resources, such as the new effective instruction guide. So as we're going through, we're only going to be talking about changes or updates that were made as compared to last year's effective instruction guide. So we are going to move pretty quickly because we're only talking about major changes that were made, but it is important to note that it is available to you in community, and we'll show you how to access that at the end of the webinar. So to start, at the very beginning of classroom teacher training, as you all know, the participants in your school are going through the Structure and Function Human Body module. It's the kindergarten module, and it is an updated course. So it was updated about last November or December. So if you have not looked at that course yet, it's very important that you do that prior to leading a classroom teacher training to become familiar with all the components. But I am going to bring you into that course now, and just as the same as it was in past years, you're going to have your teachers in your school access the student course. So the entire morning, again, they're taking the role of a student. I'm going to show you some of the new features that are available in this course. The features are going to be the same in all of the pre-K courses, kindergarten courses, and a lot are also going to be in the new third grade curriculum updates that we'll be releasing soon. So a couple things to note is the introduction story is always on a separate tab now. The reason for that is we know for students it's important to always revisit the story so that they have a better understanding of the problem. When I click the introduction story, now human body is separated into separate chapters that are read throughout the module. You'll notice there is a slideshow that's more of a picture book look and feel. And there's also an audiobook for each introduction story. So you can either read it aloud as a teacher, or you can have students play the audiobook. Now with classroom teacher training, of course, the teachers in your school, maybe for the first chapter, you could do the audio just so they can see it, but then as their readers, you can have them read the chapters on their own. Another exciting feature in each activity is that vocabulary is available in a flashcard. So these are interactive flashcards that students and the teachers in your school can click to see the picture, the word, the definition, and then there's also an audio component that they can click and listen to as well. At the end of each activity and project and problem, there are also family connections in each student course. So the reason it's in the student course is because we're highly suggesting that you roster students, like Lori said, so that they have a username and password, and then they can log on to this at home, and parents and families would be able to see these family connections, and they could extend their learning after the school day and be able to see not only what types of words they're learning, but also ways they can expand upon their knowledge. One other new component that's going to be a part of the effective instruction guide, I'm going to flip back to my slideshow here, is the structure and function, the scientific inquiry process video. So this is a new video that is going to be in the professional development course that your teachers will have access to. And what it is, it's just an overview of the scientific inquiry process. It's meant to be used with kids, but will also be used with the teachers in your school when you're leading training. This will be added to that PD elective courses for any module that uses the scientific inquiry process as well. So those are some of the just major changes that as your teachers are experiencing the structure and function human body module, the first morning of day one, those are just the big changes. Moving forward, so this is in the afternoon of day one, and we know some of you won't be facilitating this in a 2-day span, but just so you can sort of keep track with where we're at, this is on page 25 of the effective instruction guide. You're actually going to take your teachers through the structure and function human body teacher guide here. So this is a new change, and we wanted them to do this so that they're exploring different components of the teacher guide. So I'm going to bring you back out again and show you a few of the important components that are involved in all of the new curriculum updates in the teacher guide. So again, this is structure and function human body. You'll show the teachers in your school the teacher feedback form. So just as a reminder to you as well, every module in the teacher guide has this feedback form, and this goes to our team at Project Lead the Way. So anytime you have some feedback, or if there's an error, or if a link isn't working, something like that, use the survey results so that we can get your feedback. Some other new components of the teacher guide include a family letter. This is a printable document that you can send to families, and it gives them a background of what the student is learning throughout this module. It provides any misconceptions that even parents might have about a topic, and then the real fact with that misconception. Additional instructional resources is really exciting. It includes a book list. So this goes beyond what is included in the equipment kit, but they're just suggested books that we think go along great with the module. And as well as some songs that we really enjoy. They're not our songs per se, but they're songs that we think complement the module pretty well. This slideshow here is really important. This is going to show you how to access the new updated professional development resources. I am going to show you how to do that in a little bit though. Every teacher guide also includes family and community relationships. We give suggestions for inviting speakers into your classroom. So for human body, you could invite people such as doctors, nurses, or EMTs to talk about the human body with students, and also some tips to prepare visitors to work with young children. We talk about the effective use of PLTW launch logs, developing vocabulary. We included icons for your convenience throughout the teacher guide so that you can take a quick glance to see when centers are used, when a device is used, and when a camera is used, as well as when a professional development resource is available to you. One really important link on this page is the curriculum revision. So if you're ever wondering from year to year, or even within a year when revisions are made, what's different, this document will give you a full list of everything that was updated. So this is really important to look at as you're looking at not only the kindergarten curriculum that has been updated this year, but also the third grade curriculum updates that are going to be released very, very soon. And some actually are right now. All right, I'm gonna head back here. On page 26 to 27 of your effective instruction guide, this is talking about summative assessment. So every teacher guide also includes a rubric for the final design problem. So this is a new resource for our updated curriculum, the rubric, and then there's still always the check for understanding and the check for understanding key and script. So your participants in your classroom teacher training will explore these resources as well. In the afternoon of day 1, and this is page 30 of your effective instruction guide, there are no major changes to activity 1 as your teachers are exploring grids and games. That's where they're doing Rosie's Runtime. In activity 2, however, we did change this component. So in the past, this is where participants in your classroom teacher training would watch the student-facing presentations on how to use Scratch Junior. But to save time and add to your convenience while completing training, we've actually embedded slides within your classroom teacher training presentation slide deck that is available in Community to help navigate the teachers in your training through this process. The module itself, Grids and Games, has not been updated for next school year, but it is important to note that you should still always have all of the sample programs available on your digital device, including the Activity 2 programs, Scorekeeper from Activity 3, Sweep the Grid from the project, and Bunny Hop from the problem. All of that is the same in that you should have those available on your own digital device. But for this section, you'll simply be displaying 2 slides that walk your teachers through how to use Scratch Junior. Since this is their first experience with Scratch Junior, it tells them how to start the app and start a project. And then it tells them what all the different block categories mean. So this is a time where you'll leave these slides up on your projector or wherever you're showcasing these slides, and you'll give the teachers in your training time to go through these on their own with a partner, as they are still using pair programming. So 1 device per 2 participants. Okay. In activity 3, and this is on page 31 of your effective instruction guide, teachers in your training are still creating Scorekeeper. There's no change with that. This time, however, you are going to have them play the Rolling Sums game. So that is a game with the dice and the set of cards, and you're going to have them play just for about 10 minutes so they can explore those math connections that are available to students. One change that we did make that I think you'll be happy about is that both the project and the problem in Grids and Games during classroom teacher training, you are just providing an overview of those. So due to time and some new changes in the curriculum and other modules, we decided to have you just overview the project and project your examples. So that's why it's so important to have your own example of these, Bunny Hop and Sweep the Grid, so that you can showcase that to teachers as they're not going to be completing it. If you do, you could assign those programs for homework if you so choose, but as written right now, it's just optional. Okay, so that is really the end of day 1. At the end of day 1, they submit concept assignment 1, which has minor changes, nothing major, just some minor wording changes. So that's available to you in Community as well. On day 2, your teachers in your training are going through stability and motion, forces and interactions. Now this course has been updated, and I'm going to show you how to look at both courses in just 1 second. But basically the EIG, or the Effective Instruction Guide, has been updated to match the curriculum changes. So there's nothing huge or glaring that's different in the actual training, other than it's using this new course that's going to be available for this next school year. So it's really important that you become familiar with this new course, and it's actually available now. I'm going to show you just one quick trick of how to see which course is new and which one is less this past year's. And I'm going to switch back over. So as you can see, I'm in my course library, and I have other courses in here, so I'm going to just filter for launch so you can see. If I scroll down to 3rd grade, you can see that right now there's 2 stability and motion, forces and interactions student courses and teacher guides available, as well as stability and motion, science of flight. The reason for that is one of these is for this past school year, and that will be retiring on July 1st. The other course is for next school year, and it's been released early. An easy way to see which course is which is by the dates. Now, the dates sort of cut off for this teacher guide, so I'm going to scroll up and show you a trick. There is a View as List button where you can see all of your modules' full names. So Stability and Motion, Forces and Interactions is what your teachers are using at the beginning of day 2. This one has no date. This one has 2018-19. So this is last year, and so during training after June 1st, you do not want to use this one. You're going to want to use this one. So if I click a star, and same with the teacher guide, then it will be favorited for you when you go back there in the future. So that's just a trick for you as you're facilitating training in June, if you are facilitating training in June, because both of these courses will still be available. Again, the 2018-19 courses will be gone starting July 1st. Okay. On page 46 of your EIG, this is where they are going through that planning for implementation section. I'm sure a lot of you are probably doing this section of training in grade level groups. So this is a time where they're exploring a module of their choice, they're looking at standards, and they're looking at the actual teacher guide, and they're seeing what their next steps are. So on page 46, though, we did make a change to have you direct participants to access the elective courses that Lori was talking about at the beginning of the webinar. And I am going to show you how to access those resources now as a reminder. So if I go to mypltw.org and log in, professional development is always available here, and this is where your teachers will also go to access their core training course that when you're leading classroom teacher training. You will notice probably in your catalog, but I have it in my dashboard because it's one of my tracks already. If I scroll down, you probably won't have as many as I do. You will see a 2019-20 PLTW launch classroom teacher training. I'm going to resume track, but you might have to click view track or start track. This is the course that your teachers will use if they're training after June 1st. This is the new prerequisite course that Lori mentioned, Welcome to PLTW. This is the second prerequisite course, Getting Started with PLTW Launch Classroom Teacher Training. And this is the core training course that your teachers and you will have access to once you have your training all set up and registered. The elective courses, though, are all available here at the bottom. Now, I will tell you that we are actively uploading these resources pretty much as we speak. So they will all be there by June 1st. We did upload some to give you a preview of things that will be available in the different grade levels. So I'm going to show you pre-K. And you'll notice these two are empty right now, but they won't be very soon. And one of these is very exciting, design process songs. So we have two different versions of songs that go with the steps of the design process. One is more simple, meant for younger students, and one goes into more detail about the different steps that could be used with intermediate or upper level students. So those will be up there soon as PDFs, and they are sung to familiar tunes. So those will be available to you. Other resources available, every module will include a printable APB overview. These are nice if you have to, if you want just a quick glance at what the module is about, or if you have to turn it in to an administrator. There's always a module introduction video. There's a lot of new and exciting resources that you'll notice are available under each module. The reason for that is because we know the majority of classroom teachers may only teach between 1 and 4 modules a year, so we wanted to make sure they had all resources available under every module. So things like thinking like an engineer, 3-dimensional learning, uncovering and addressing misconceptions, using PLTW launch logs, those are going to be available under every module. Some content development, so building your understanding. This will, build some science content that is needed throughout the module, and they're really meant to go beyond the understanding of your students in case they have questions, or if you have students who want or need to go beyond the level of understanding of others in the classroom. We have some preparation steps, so things like setting up centers, in this case with pre-K. And there's really you're going to notice a lot of new resources in many of the different modules. So one thing to keep in mind, like I said, in this 2019-20 track, we are actively uploading them, but they will all be there by June 1st. So be on the lookout for that. So you're going to show the teachers in your classroom teacher training how to access these, and then give them some time to actually view resources that are available for the module of their choice. Then on page 47 of your effective instruction guide, you're going to show teachers how to join a site. Now, this is something that some teachers may have done or completed when they were registering for your training, but sometimes teachers skip this process. So it's really important that they do this step. All they do is on mypltw.org at the top, they type in the name of your school and then just click request to join site. It's as simple as that. Their request goes to your site coordinator, and then the site coordinator will accept them to join the site. But this is an important step, otherwise they won't have access to the curriculum if they're not attached to your specific school who's paid their participation fee. The last thing you'll show your teachers is community. So one thing to note is, like, during training, your teachers will not have access to community. So it's important that you show them it and show them how to access it and ways people are using it, so that they know how to use it after they receive their credential. I am going to go in here to show you where we actually uploaded all of your resources in your Launch Lead Teacher community group. So I'm going to go to the PLTW Launch Lead Teachers community group. And you'll notice under files, and it's at the top right now, it might not be in the future, there's a zip file called 2019-20 CTT resources for lead teachers. This zip file includes everything you need to lead classroom teacher training for the 2019-20 school year, starting June 1st. It includes the effective instruction guide, the slideshow, any resources that we suggest to print prior to training, as well as some just like new and exciting resources that are available for next school year. So that is there for you. This will also be where we'll place this recording after the webinar. And I'm going to move back to the slide deck for the end here. The concept assignments are going to be available in that zip folder for you. Some of the questions have been updated, but like I said earlier, there are no major changes, just some slight wording changes. So just be sure to open these up and take a look at them to note any differences. In that zip file as well, there's something that we call the alternative pacing schedule. We know that a lot of you don't have 2 days in a row, the full 16 hours in a row to complete classroom teacher training. So this just offers some suggestions of way to break up and separate the training into different chunks so that you can conveniently finish it in your own timeline. So with that, that's really all the major changes that we made to classroom teacher training for the 2019-20 school year. So we can see if we have any questions.
I do have one, Emily, that might be worth just bringing up and mentioning. I've just been chatting with a participant. She's going to hold training on May 23rd and day 2 for day 1, and day 2 is going to be June 4th. So, and you know, asking how is this going to change things? And again, leading classroom teacher training with your teachers in your school district, we know that there are definitely alternative schedules that you can create, but doing it 2 days, that really fits well with the EIG as written. The only thing we would recommend is probably doing maybe a longer refresher on the morning of day 2, since there's a length of time that has occurred between days 1 and day 2, just to kind of get them back to speed and remind them what happened on day 1. The other thing we would say is it would be up to you when you require their concept assignment 1 parts 1 and 2 to be completed. They wouldn't necessarily have to have it submitted the evening of day 1, and you wouldn't have to grade it that night. You could perhaps, you know, have them submit it by June 1st. So they have several days. You just want to make sure that they have all submitted it and you've had a chance to grade it and provided feedback in case they need to resubmit their assignments before June 4th. The other thing, and this is kind of why I brought this up, you're starting training on May 23rd. So you'll want to see which classroom teacher training course they're in, if they're in the 2018-19 or the 2019-20. So again, all of these updates are really taking place June 1st, when your teachers, June 1st on, those teachers in any classroom teacher trainings that you lead would be placed in the 2019-20 classroom teacher training track. If you're doing it before, they may be placed in the 2018-19, and that would mean that they wouldn't be seeing the updates that we've made for the 2019-20 school year. So that might be something to reach out to the Solution Center to see which track that they would be placed in. I'm not sure if they would be able to make adjustments. I'm not sure. So I would just, I hate to say that, but I would just suggest reaching out to the Solution Center and just maybe bringing it up as a concern that, you know, you're ready to lead the newest training for the 2019-20 school year, but your first day starts on May 23rd instead of after the June 1st date. So I hope that helps.
Any needed materials for the updated modules? If so, what are the materials? So in terms of classroom teacher training, the kit is the same. So there's no need to purchase a new kit for that. In terms of, I'm guessing you meant kindergarten and 3rd grade. I can't think of any offhand, but I would look at the curriculum updates that is at the bottom of that module in the teacher guide just to confirm that, or reach out to Solution Center. But the classroom teacher training kit is the same.
Another question that we have, which we can answer live, any plans to update the grade 5 modules to align better with NGSS standards? So we, again, are working to update modules, and we'll be working, actually started in 3rd grade and moving upward. So that will be something to perhaps look forward to in the future.
Hi, Emily and Lori, and hello, everybody. This is Rob Spurka. I'm the teammate helper for Emily and Lori's fine performance today. I just wanted to ask if, I don't know how you normally handle it with the launch lead teachers, but I didn't know if you wanted to cover any of the questions that you've already answered in text to voice them for the audience so that everybody can benefit from them.
So we were asked about the cost of the kit. That was one thing I think that relates to, did the kits change? So if you ordered a 2018-19 classroom teacher training kit, those have, which was used last year, you may need to replenish the materials. So you may need to purchase a refill kit this year. But if you still have plenty of materials to use, consumable items, you wouldn't have to purchase a new kit for this year. There was also a question of the cost of this kit. So within your effective instruction guide, there's a section called equipment and materials, and then it says training host, which your school would be the host. And then below that is a link for the classroom teacher training kit, and that would take you to that information. The other area that you can find this information at is on My PLTW by accessing the store. And you can also find the cost of the kit there, which is the way I would recommend accessing the cost. Also a question about how many other modules will be getting updates. Again, we are continuously working on that and updating as we can, and the best we can, the fastest we can. But at this time, kindergarten has already was released in the winter, is what we'd say. So K.2, you'll see actually all of our modules are pushed out June 1. So you'll see the new refreshed, any changes that have been made to the modules, you'll see that June 1. But we can definitely tell you that kindergarten has the new look, just as pre-K. So you'll see pre-K, you'll see updated kindergarten, and you'll also see updated third grade modules. But first and second and fourth and fifth have not been updated at this time. Only to really reflect the operating system updates. So you'll see language changing, moving away from tablets to digital devices, and also I believe, in third grade, you'll actually see, exciting, that we're using Scratch in one of the modules. So not Scratch Junior, but the platform of Scratch from MIT. So that's introduced in third grade now instead of hopscotch.
And just to underscore, if I may, that since you're talking about the changes to all the modules, that all modules you will see that Spanish is available, the expansion to Spanish. If you have, next to when you see your icon in courses for your English modules, then right next to it, you will see your Spanish modules as well. And that comes to any school who has paid participation fees for PLTW launch.
And I'm going to hop in and just excuse myself. I'm jumping over to another webinar, but Emily and Rob are going to stay on with you and answer any questions you have. But thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you. Bye.
Emily, I think the only other thing that I want to cover right now is just to add a little rider to what Lori had said about NGSS, the coverage in Grade 5. That there is, NGSS is an important effort for us, and we are definitely making plans that you will see in the near future for the timeline for when we will have coverage, let's see, grades 1 through 5 for NGSS. Then we have an additional question here. Are there any changes with the digital media?
Yes, so with any of the modules that were updated for next school year, you'll notice that the presentations embedded within Inkling and courses were updated to, with updated curriculum. With any of the modules, like we said before, make sure you look at that device application list to make sure that all applications are compatible with all three of the operating systems, so iPads, Androids, and Android-enabled Chromebooks. Some of those have changed, even in some of the existing modules, such as first, second, fourth, and fifth, that have not been updated. There might just be slight changes, such as in classroom teacher training, how we switched from Poplet to Show Me Interactive Whiteboard. The reason for that is it's compatible with all of those platforms. So just be on the lookout for that. But if you have a favorite, you could always, use Poplet or something like that. Is always fine if you're with iPads.
A couple of other questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Are the concept assignments still in Word, or are there options for docs? So yes, they are still in Microsoft Word. Again, on the computer specifications, on the link on either pltw.org or within the effective instruction guide, it is still required for every teacher to have a laptop that has Microsoft products enabled. So they are still Word documents. And Rob, I'm not sure if do they get a certificate for this webinar?
That I don't know. I'll have to look into that, and we'll have to provide that information back. We'll have to check into that. So thanks for that question.
Are there any further questions?
That looks like it. Those are all the open questions.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We really, really appreciate all that you're doing in your schools. We know it's a big commitment becoming a lead teacher and being that teacher leader for all of the teachers and all the students really in your school. So we really appreciate, and we appreciate you continuing your learning with us today.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great week.